GAALearning Vakerja mar Hirla de Kushti Forbaha Clehi Nashinda Bewilem Falcha a Cur Rove and Shaw and Oct Heg Good Oil Blaintul. Thank you for the kind words, Damien. Essentially, my role tonight is just to set the scene, set the context. So if you bear with me for a few minutes before we move forward. Ciaran McLaughlin, as Damien said, from Tyrone, appointed in February by Workgroups to chair the Games Development Committee. The background for Games, which most of you are probably aware of, but it does no harm to reinforce where we are and what we're about. 1,600 clubs, 450 overseas. Most of you will have seen the graphic. Pretty well illustrates the GAA and its reach across the whole of the country. And of course, further afield, never to dismiss the people in the overseas. Membership approaching 1 million, nearly 300,000 players, 20,000 teams, 65 million of revenue, of which 1/6 is reinvested back in what you do and what we do. So straight away, you're as important as, in the whole association as anybody else, you folks sitting down there. With 1.5 million supporters, 130,000 children at cool camps, and for over the past 10 years, taking it up to tonight, 80,000 coaches have been put through courses, and 8,500 people have attended this conference. So it shows you the reach and breadth of what it's about. Our vision, this is the association vision, it's not mine, not anybody in the room, us as an association, our vision is that everybody is welcome to participate fully, and this is where you come in, to make sure that the participant who comes in the gate, should there be 8, should there be 18, should there be 80, they have an opportunity to get involved and it will inspire them to stay for lifelong engagement. And this year's strategic plan, which is for the Workgroups 3 years, and obviously with new Archsteward Tom, this is what he said in the plan. The GAA is a precious gift, and we're all enthused, and we want to make sure that we do is keep it in the best place it can be, so we pass it on to the next generation. That generation of young person that comes through the gates that you coach. What are we about within that plan? And this is just to give you a feel for coaching and games. Games participation, up top and central. Improve opportunities for participation in Gaelic games by every individual that wants to get involved in the games. Every single person. How do we do it? Well, we improve the balance between club and county. Do we ensure that the club gets the fixtures that it deserves, or does the county team in your county take over and fixtures are run to suit them and not to suit the club programme that you're hoping that you're coaching your team towards? Are we engaging with primary and post-primary schools to promote games as well as we could be? These are things that we're looking at. And particularly for yourselves in the room tonight, recruit and retain players, coaches and referees, especially at club level. So we're conscious of drop-off of player, we're conscious of drop-off of coaches. Referees deserve all the drop-off that we give them because we give them so much pressure. They deserve to get out of the game at times. But ultimately what we're trying to do is to make sure that the experience across the whole spectrum of playing, coaching and refereeing is as good as it can be for each of the individuals involved. To do that, we promote inclusivity. And by that I mean of our games across all of the spectrum, for every person, disabled, whatever they might be, but also within the GAA family. So the Camogues and ladies football are as welcome in the gates as the people are into the GAA club itself. Last year, insofar as an overview, taking the time to reflect on where the association was, particularly in the area of games development and coaching. This guy, Gary Keegan, produced a report for the association, which was ratified at last year's Central Council. And what we then are doing is working towards some of the things, or in fact, toward the report itself. He said, important to state the games development work is at the centre of the GAA, at the heart of the GAA. Every week, thousands of kids and parents attend their local clubs and they develop, but more importantly, what they develop is a friendship, and they put on the club jersey and they feel a belonging. And if there's a belonging, then they're part of a community and the club, and it fosters so much good in the individuals themselves. 3 particular areas of the report which affect what we're about and what helps you, hopefully, as we move forward with this report. Coach education, and you'll hear an awful lot about it tonight and tomorrow, but coach education, we're looking at every aspect of it. What can we do to ensure that the people we get through the gates are going to be people who want to stay to coach? That's you people. Some of you are here now and you're here 20, 30, 40 years later. I was chatting to a man earlier on, I won't name him, but he was the man that got me interested in coaching at under 6 and under 8 level. A man I have great time for. And that's the kind of person I'd like to see coming out of this room, and in 20 years from tonight, remembering that you were the person that took something from this conference tonight that got you into that same way of thinking. Performance science. We all know now that every club in the country, from under 6 to the under 16, needs a coach and needs a strength and conditioning coach alongside it. Utter nonsense. What we want to try and put in place for you is an understanding of what actually is needed, and instead of your club or your county buying in expertise, if I want to use those words, instead that you have the expertise from within the association that can help you to deliver in your club. That's what we're looking at. And then talent development. The Ciaran, whenever he started it himself, he specifically put in place a group to look at our talent academies and what they are doing and how they're going about what they're doing and how that will marry in and complement what's going on in their clubs. That report's coming very near its conclusion, but it's not likely to be by this Congress, which we had hoped. It'll probably be within the next 3 to 6 months maximum. Our work groups, as I said to you, what do we do? Well, what we do is we look at things like governance, and one particular area there, people, and we'll maybe touch on it tomorrow again, people in our counties have asked us to give them a uniformity of age grade. So what are the ages that we're supposed to play our games at? Is it 14, 16 or 18, or is it 13, 15 or 17? So we're looking at that, and we're coming to Congress with a proposal, and if we get time tomorrow, we might look for more feedback on that, what people think. But it's coming down the tracks to Congress. Sports science work group I've already touched on, and essentially looking at it says there a quality assurance of sports science inputs. So the child that you do take and that you do agility, balance, coordination with, are you doing it the best possible way? Are you doing it in a way that some fella or some lady thinks is the right way, but in actual fact it's not? So we're looking to back up what we're researching here with medical evidence to prove what is right and what should be done. Coach education work group, the one that you folk are all mentioned, or all here for. Developing, you can read it for yourself, but more particularly, and the one area that I want to draw out is that what we hope to do within this year, we're aware already that the 4 provinces have a club engagement model. And essentially what they do is within each province, they say to you as your club, do you want us to come and help you to improve your coaches, to look at how you coach your coaches, and do you want a coaching plan for the incoming year? We want to try and take that step further, and 2 particular words that I would look at is the mentoring process and how we get to deliver that programme in every club in the country. So if we can mentor the coach that I mentioned earlier on there, that might be the person who in 20 years' time is given enthusiasm and given a way forward for the next person in the ladder, that's what it's all about, to help our clubs become self-sustaining. I mentioned participation because, as I said at the start, participation is key. There's not much point of an association if we can't have people who want to participate. So what are we doing to address drop-off? What are we doing to make sure our clubs and our school links are very strong? And how we go about making sure that the person who comes to 18, 19, 20, that problem area where children aren't getting to play adult games that they were 2, 3, 4 years ago per rule, what do we do about that and how do we address that situation with participation? Future leaders, a ball of work going on in our second level schools. Some of you may be aware of it, some of you won't, but if you're not, you're going to hear more about it. And essentially that programme has continued to develop. Conference theme 2019, coaching for well-being. Player well-being, absolutely, that's there. But as important as I'm saying to you is the well-being of you, the coaches. How do we support what you're doing to make you the best person you can be, to ensure that you're not stressed going out the gates because mommy says that my son's not playing or my daughter's not playing? What are you going to do about it? How do we handle every situation that we're faced with as a coach? We're looking at every aspect of it. Our aim as a GDC is to help our clubs to become self-sustainable. So instead of having to go to raise your lottos to pay for expenses, instead that money's going towards the club development of the coaches to ensure there's a pathway for a person in the club to become the senior team manager. And how we plan to do it, as I've said to you already, we've touched on it, working with the provinces. We hope that we will be able to bring together, there's a package in every province, and it's not that dissimilar. We're going to pull it together to have a menu that you can pick from, and some of the stuff will be particular to Ulster, as will be to Munster. But what we'll do is make sure that there's a stream in the middle of it, that everybody, no matter where you might end up living or coaching, you will be able to understand and appreciate where it comes from. All in all, I started where I finished, participation. And if we participate as a GA family, there'll be opportunities for everybody to become involved. All of the family working closely together and games development to the forefront. That's what I strive for. That's what the committee strive for. Everybody involved in Croke Park strives for. And hopefully, as I said there, it mirrors the reality of life in our counties and in our clubs. And if it doesn't, we need to hear why it doesn't. Those are the things we'll look to research as we move forward. I want to thank, I don't get the opportunity to do it very often, the Games Development Department and the team that set up tonight. The people work very hard behind the scenes. At the end of the day, like yourselves, We're relying on full-time staff who are volunteers, because I can get them on the phone any time of the day or night, but they work very, very, very hard with the voluntary committee that I chair. I'm very fortunate. Nicky Brennan chairs the executive, and we're very fortunate to have that team of staff behind us, and we really appreciate them. Our sponsors here in Skye, we're never underestimate our sponsors, no matter who they are, where they are, and what they're about. Every club deserves to give their sponsors the highest of praise, and certainly so do we. But more particularly, the personnel on the ground being you folk. If I haven't emphasised enough how important you as coaches are to this association in the next 10, 15, 20 years, beyond there no illusion that a lot of it is going to be down to how you deliver. And we've got to make sure we give you the best possible opportunity to do that. So hopefully over the weekend you'll get plenty from it and leave you in a position to move forward. And finishing off then, Tasulogum, Gomani, Shiv, Saltus, and Jeru, Shaktana, August Jim, Gail, Gashra, Orav, Golair, Mar Trina, Lehia, Melina. Gormai August.